What's up, everybody? So there is still no information out there about where Lily and Jack Sullivan might be or what possibly happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan. A couple of days ago, CBC.ca ran a new article about the two missing children from Nova Scotia that included an interview with the children's step-grandmother. Let's see what the children's step-grandmother had to say. Step-grandmother of missing Nova Scotia kids recalls hearing their voices followed by nothing. She says she believes that Lily and Jack Sullivan are still alive. She was asleep in her trailer when she awoke to the sound of her dog barking, a sign that her two young step-grandchildren were out playing on a swing set in the backyard. She said she heard Lily and Jack Sullivan's voices. Her bedroom is only a few steps away. After that, I heard nothing. She said of the morning of May 2nd, when the two children disappeared from the property in Lansdowne Station. The next thing she did hear was her son, Daniel Martel, yelling the children's names. A short time later, she emerged from the trailer to find the children's mother standing in the driveway with her one-year-old daughter on her hip. She states the mother told her the children were missing and had been gone for about 20 minutes. She states she closed the door, got her boots on, came out and ran up in the woods. Mackenzie said, that's the children's step-grandmother, said she was speaking to her brother on the phone for about 2 minutes at 8:48 a.m. local time and then dozed off before being awoke by the dogs barking, so the children went missing sometime after that. What followed was days of extensive searches of the property and surrounding woods that turned up little evidence aside from two boot prints and a piece of a blanket. Over the past 11 weeks, nearly a dozen RCMP units, including major crimes, have been working on the case but have released few details about what may have happened to Lily Sullivan, who is 6 years old, and Jack Sullivan, who is 4 years old. The step-grandmother has decided to share her side of the story in hopes of bringing more clarity to what transpired that morning and to help dispel the flurry of rumors that have been circulating online. I blame myself for not getting up that morning to see the kids because this would have never happened. She states She describes the scene on her property where she has lived for 26 years as chaotic on the first day of the disappearance as RCMP officers, search and rescue officials, and reporters descended upon the community. 2 years before that, Daniel Martel and the kid's mother came to live there with Jack and Lily, whose biological father had chosen a few years prior not to be part of their lives. Soon after, Daniel Martel and the mother welcomed their own daughter. The step-grandmother said she gave the young family a mobile home and she started living in a small RV. She built the wooden swing set in the backyard, which she outfitted with a blue slide and sandbox. They were a part of my life for 2 years when they came to live here. They became part of this family. Mackenzie said, that's the children's step-grandmother, said she and her family have been nothing but cooperative with police since the children disappeared, all while it attracted insane international interest. She states there was one instance on the very first day of the search when an officer attempted to enter her trailer and she stopped the officer, but only because she wanted to remove her dog first. Since then, the property has been scoured. Both RCMP and search and rescue officials have searched the property's mobile home and trailer multiple times. The well and septic tank have been searched. A drone was even flown under the mobile home. Daniel Martel was also given a polygraph test, which he says he passed. And yet, accusations that she or her son are somehow involved in the disappearance continue to be hurled their way online. My life has been turned upside down and inside out, she said. I had nothing to do with any of this. I want them home safe and sound just as much as everybody else does. I want to know what happened. I want the rumors to stop. I just want everything to stop. For me, for the sake of the other children, my grandchildren, they don't deserve this. They're innocent of everything. Jack and Lily are innocent of everything. They didn't deserve this. In the beginning, her family was receiving regular updates about the investigation, but that has all stopped in recent weeks, leaving her and Martel with many unanswered questions. She feels the case now lacks the urgency it deserves. Until last Thursday or last Friday, there had been no updates in about 3 weeks about anything to do with Lily and Jack Sullivan. She's also critical of the RCMP's initial response to the case, questioning how far two children could have reasonably traveled through the thick woods in the span of roughly 20 minutes. Having lived on the property for decades, she's well aware of just how dense the forest is, which was made worse by downed trees during post-tropical storm Fiona in 2022. We've went for walks in the woods. I had to practically carry Jack through the woods because there was no way that he was walking through all the tall trees and bushes, she said later, taking CBC News through the path the children often used, littered with crisscrossing trees. RCMP investigation questioned. I don't think they're in the woods. We've searched this place. They've had helicopters out. They had drones out. They had searches. They went over this place with a fine-tooth comb. A member of the mother's extended family is also critical of how the RCMP investigation has played out. A cousin of the mother's grandmother said he had been speaking with many members of both families in the weeks following the disappearance and believed that he had information that could be important to the investigation, but was brushed off by the Mounties. It's not hurt, it's rage, and I'm trying to control it. On Wednesday, RCMP said units from Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Ontario are working on the case. A spokesperson said a pink blanket that was seized on Lansdowne Road on the first day of the search is being forensically examined. She said the family has confirmed the blanket belongs to Lily. She states that they are following up on more than 600 tips from the public, reviewing 5,000 video files, and have investigated more than 60 people. Asked if the police are investigating the possibility the children are still alive, they state, "We have not closed any doors on the investigation at this point." She also said an RCMP family liaison is in regular contact with a designated relative of Lily and Jack, providing ongoing updates and support. She would not say who the designated relative is. The step-grandmother said she has lived a quiet life before the disappearance launched her and her family into the spotlight as keyboard warriors and podcasters dissect every aspect of the case. She said cars will drive by and slow down and peer down the gravel driveway, flanked by the mobile home and trailer. It is also not uncommon for drones to be flown over her house, for members of the media to knock on the door, and to be recognized everywhere she goes. I mostly stay around back here, and if I do go out in front for anything, I usually have my head down because I don't want people to see who I am. She said, seated in front of her green fence that separates her trailer from the rest of the property. It's not because I'm hiding from anybody. I'm just a quiet person that just wants to be left alone. The day after the children went missing, the stepfather and mother attended an RCMP briefing. After that, the mother did not return home in Lansdowne Station. She has not been back since. The step-grandmother said she hasn't seen her two other grandchildren, Martel's kids from a previous relationship, since the disappearance. She remarked that she went from seeing her 5 grandchildren on a regular basis to not being able to see any of them, and earns to be called Granny once again. The mother did one interview with CTV News the day after the disappearance, but has not spoken to the media since. Her mother has told CBC News they were told by police not to speak to the media. Through it all, the step-grandmother does not believe the children are dead. You know, if something bad happens, you get like your heart drops. Mine hasn't, she said. Deep down in my heart, I do believe that Jack and Lily are alive. And man, I'm sure everybody hopes that Jack and Lily Sullivan are still alive, but it's crazy. May 2nd, 2025, they went missing. Today is July 21st, 2025, and there's still, other than the boot prints and a piece of that blanket, there's nothing. It's like one of two things, like, I don't know. There's not that many possibilities of things that could have happened, right? Like, I'm not speculating. Like, what are the options? They wandered into the woods, they were abducted, or they were killed, right? Those are the only, if there's other options, please let me know. Like, maybe I'm missing something. And I'm not saying that the RCMP isn't doing their best job to try and find these kids or find out what happened. I'm sure they are. I'm sure everybody involved is trying to find out what happened. It's just a crazy, bizarre situation that these kids vanished and there's no clear evidence leading anybody any direction. Or at least not what they've put out publicly. Maybe like the police or whoever knows something more than they're putting out and they're just keeping it quiet, working on the investigation. And I hope that's the case. I hope RCMP knows way more than they're putting out there. And they're just using it to, like, keeping it quiet so that it doesn't ruin the investigation. That would make perfect sense. But who knows? There's only a couple logical things that could have possibly happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan. Somehow, some way, however bizarre, strange, or crazy, I hope that they are found safe and sound somewhere and are returned home to their family, friends, and loved ones.